All right, welcome back to another episode of Good Times, Bad Friends. Today we have a returning guest. Ben Lawson is back on the show. The first time Ben came on, we talked a lot about his story, the army, adversity, survival, and rebuilding his life. But honestly, after that conversation, the boys talked and we realized there was a whole different conversation we still wanted to have. Because beyond the story itself, Ben's become someone who spends a lot of time helping men improve their lives physically, mentally, and spiritually. And I think that's something a lot of people are starving for right now. So today we're talking about discipline, marriage, purpose, fatherhood, modern masculinity, not the social media versions of these things, but what Ben calls leadership. So I think it's going to be one of those conversations where a lot of guys listen are going to want to hear themselves in it. So if you've been rocking with us, make sure you're following the show on Spotify, subscribed on YouTube, share the episode with someone who needs it. And that's how we'll keep this going. So Ben, welcome back, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Listen, I wish we could say this was planned, but you are an absolute superstar. And that's the reason that you came back on, because I sent you a message. And not only did you make a really, really good joke about cold plunging, but you also agreed to come on. So ChatGPT did a good job of kind of masking the fact that we were planning this, but you were actually just a stud about less than 24 hours ago. So we really do appreciate you coming back on. But anyway, to the other guy that's going to be on next week, like this is going to be way better anyway. And it's so funny when you go back and listen to the last episode, like everything was so smooth. There was great transitions. We have great internet connection once again. And so that's something that we can always count on when we run this podcast. But what's kind of been going on since the last time you came on, Ben? How's everything been going?
Man, everything's great, but just very chaotic and busy, getting ready to do a cross-country move. Yeah, so half my family left actually today. I took them to the airport. They flew out, my wife, the baby, and my daughter. And then my son and I and a friend of mine are road tripping next week with a good majority of our stuff. So yeah, things are pretty chaotic.
That's very nice of you to stay back just to do this podcast interview with us. So I really appreciate
Yeah, I
it.
was like, babe, I can't go. I got important business to handle. I'll see you in a week.
There's a super important podcast that I got to be. So kind of unpack that a little bit. Like what's going on? What's the update with that? What's the reason that we're picking up and moving to Canada?
We're going to Arizona. So that's where my wife's from. And that was always our plan because right now we live in Nashville. The plan was always to head to Arizona when the kids got older, but we kind of made it work with their mom. And so we figured out a plan that works for everyone and just want to be closer to family, because having a almost year-old with no family around turns out it's really tough. So, even the thought of expanding and having more kids, which, I think we want to do, is just off the table without any family close. So we're getting into a position where we'll be able to do that. And just for my work and coaching, there's going to be a lot more opportunity out there in Arizona.
Yeah, that's cool. I think, so I was glad that I found out you were coming back on, because since you left, I took a couple looks in the mirror and I'm like, dude, we got to make some changes. So I wrote some questions of just like kind of wanted to pick your brain on some stuff. And I think one of my biggest problems is like consistency. Like I get on fire, like I want to go to the gym, and then I like have a weekend where like I just veg out. So like and I don't think it's a me thing. I think it's like a guy thing. So why do you think guys struggle so much with consistency and not following through when they see one result or whatever?
I think the big thing is not having a clear-cut why. I think people in general are like, oh, I want to look better. Well, looking better isn't a good why. It's awesome. It can work partially, or it can even work for a short period of time, or even for, someone, I want to look good for this, the beach or the summer, whatever. They maybe do it, but that's not a strong enough reason to keep you hooked into, making the lifestyle changes. So having a good why is the biggest thing, I would say, as to why people are not consistent.
Yeah, I think that's stuff is why, because I recently have been trying to work out more as well. Along the same lines, though, like one thing I is not like it's just a little too comfortable at 4:30 when the alarm goes off, and it's really easy to hit snooze or like not get up on time. And then, do you think that the comfort and like the amount of comfort that we've built into our daily lives is harming us in some way? Is that like a negative if it?
I would say it's both, right? So I think it's awesome that we have all these things, and it can I feel like our lives are so much easier than, people even, 50 plus years ago. But yes, I do think in that sense, it does hurt us because like nowadays, I think, you know, obviously the biggest discussion is around nutrition and how there's all these, you know, chemicals and added sugar and all this stuff. And, you know, all that stuff, you know, certainly isn't great. But I think really the biggest problem is just the lack of movement. Even 100 years, like my dad grew up on a tobacco farm in Kentucky. Like they didn't know, you know, a lot of modern conveniences back then, and you just worked every day. So that was your fitness. Like if you try to explain the concept of a gym to someone back, you know,
Yeah.
even in the early 1900s, they'd be like, why do you do that? Why you're
Right.
going to lift weights? Like go to the farm, like go hoe some weeds. Like, what are you talking about? So I think in that sense, like things are a lot better, but yeah, we have to kind of combat it with, you know, how easy modern lifestyle is with, you know, staying fit and certain things.
But food tastes so good, man. But I can drive through the fast food on the way home and then have the rest of my day, and, like, people brag sometimes about, like, waking up at, I don't know, 3 o'clock in the morning, so, like, I can live before the world wakes up, but then about 5 o'clock, they don't have time for their family, they don't have time for all of these other things. Like, how do you combat kind of what y'all are already talking about with, like, the comfortability and the casualness of how I live my life with, like, I have to make an impact of, "Okay, I'm going to the gym, I'm doing this while not sacrificing time with the people around me."
Yeah, I think it really comes down to balance. Like I've done bodybuilding shows and turns
Mhm.
out there's no balance when you do a bodybuilding show. You're just
Yeah.
all about yourself and you have to explain to my family like, "Hey, listen, I'm going to be kind of doing my own thing for the next like 3 months, so don't worry about it. I'm going to be real hangry, so don't take any offense to things I'm saying." But then there's also like real life and you really have to find that balance. And I sometimes I even say like there's really no such thing as balance because you just kind of have to figure it out. You have to
Mm,
find the time, but you also in that have to find the time that works for you. So I'm a big believer in like training early in the morning because that's what works for me. And I think for a lot of dads, especially, that's what works best for them because if it doesn't happen in the morning, it's either not going to happen or you're going to be taking away time from your family. So
mm.
I think doing it early, but also not living in the gym. Like people like how you kind of talked about earlier, you stay consistent for a little while. Well, people are like, "Oh, I'm so excited," and they want to train for 2 hours a day, and it's like, well, that's not sustainable. So that's probably why you're going to fall off. So in your mind, that's what your idea of fitness is. It's this all or nothing. It's this 2 hour workouts. It's this super strict diet, and it's like doesn't have to be like that. You can
Mm.
find good balance. Just eat more protein a day. Get some steps in, even steps with a family. It's a great thing to do with the wife, with the kids. And then the other part is you just lift weights a couple times a week and, you know, make it work for you 45 minutes to an hour. And that's a perfect way to live a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, I struggle a lot with that, like, all or nothing mentality of, like,
Hmm.
if I don't get up early enough and go to the gym, then I don't do anything physical for the rest of the day, and that's so stupid.
Hmm.
Like, I should get up and go for a walk or, like,
Yep.
I have kettlebells, I can do, like, a quick workout. There's
Hmm.
little things that we can add in. Along the same lines of, like, that all or nothing mentality, how do you as a dad, like, balance food? 'Cause I find that I struggle because like, my wife and my daughters don't wanna eat chicken breast and rice every day, which I would be okay with. How do you, like, balance, diet and food and like stay on a good healthy meal plan and also feed your whole family?
Yeah, that's a good thing. So I'm not like a super chicken, broccoli, rice kind of dieter. Like I like to incorporate things that I enjoy. Like if you look on my Instagram, you'll see like meal plans or days of eating where I'm eating like chicken nuggets at sometimes. Like
Mm.
I make it work. You know what I mean? So I love food too. I even have a cooking page I did for a while, which is super time consuming, but I've worked as a private chef. I've done a lot of cool stuff with cooking. I enjoy it. So I like to make foods that taste good and are macro friendly. And I kind of learned that while doing dieting for like bodybuilding shows and things. But I just, nowadays it's about convenience. So I'm like, if I can throw it in the crock pot and it tastes
Yeah.
good, like that's
Oh, yeah.
probably what I'm gonna do. But that being said, like I'll meal prep for myself, and my wife is also a meal prepper. And then sometimes either we have that same food for the kids because my kids are pretty good with steak and rice and you know, ground beef and rice, chicken rice, all that kind of stuff. Potatoes, they love all that too. But if not, then sometimes they get a little bit different food and that's fine with us. Like we're just like, I'm going to stick to my plan. We're all going to eat together. We always eat together as a family every single day, but sometimes we eat a little bit different things and our 11-month-old eats even more different
Right.
things. We're all kind of on different pages, but we're doing it together. So I think that's what's most important.
100%. And I think that's where like most of those guys that are coming from, like for me, I'm the same way. Like my oldest boy, it's like macaroni and cheese, and then all of a sudden that's the food he hates more than anything in the world. So it's like, what's the first step you would give someone that's in that position of, okay, I need to start somewhere with a habit without becoming obsessed and kind of dragging my whole family along with that one little habit that I'm starting. Like what's step one for that process as somebody with a family?
Step one, like as a dad, as a leader, is that what you mean? Or as a family as a whole?
Yeah, I would say like us obviously being the leader of the family, like what's step one to kind of bring everybody along without making it that obsession with everybody else?
I think we lost you there.
Yeah, so I think he means as a leader. Let's answer it from the leader standpoint.
Okay, okay.
I'm gonna mute him.
Okay. From a leader standpoint, I would just say the first thing is kind of with anyone who's trying to get on track with fitness and nutrition. It's just like it's all good.
He's so
Okay.
behind you can't even mute him.
A little laggy. So I'd say as a leader, the biggest thing is like as far as anyone starting off in nutrition, the biggest the biggest thing is just tracking everything you eat and then eating more protein.
Mm.
Most people are probably under eating protein, and that's like what I would call low hanging fruit is to be healthier. A lot of protein have a lot of good micronutrients in it as well, but it's overall just good for your body. It's going to be more satiating, so you're going to be more full versus if you ate, if you ate a 200 calorie candy bar, it's like nothing. But if you eat 200 calories in, steak, you're like, oh, I'm pretty full. So I would start there with nutrition for the family is just track what you eat so you have a better idea, eat more protein.
Gosh, and it's so simple to do at my house because my wife gets up at 4 o'clock and goes to CrossFit and tracks everything in my fitness pal all day long. And I'm like,
Yep.
that seems like a lot of work. I'm just gonna eat whatever. And I just like find all these excuses because kind of like Alex said, like I'm an all or nothing person and like everything in life. If like we go to a sports game and I miss kickoff, I'm like, why do we even go? And it's just so like dumb to like do that in my personal life when it comes to health because like a little bit of something is better than nothing. So I don't.
Mhm.
The, every time we talk, like you make me think about like I'm doing everything so wrong. And so I think sorry,
You're
like if I'm gonna start tomorrow, like my wife, I told her I was like I'll start going to the gym with you in June, and I'm like oh crap, that's next week. So like if I'm gonna make little adjustments up to starting, then what would you say like I could spend doing this week? Would that be like eating healthy, like stretching, or like starting little workouts through the day so I don't just die on my first day when I go to the gym?
Yeah, I would say an easy thing you can do is always like
Mm,
mobility work. I'm not a big like stretch and hold, but you can do a lot of different type of stretches and mobility exercises to kind of get your body primed and ready. And those are just good in general because a lot of us sit all day every day, and so to kind of combat what we call upper cross syndrome, where we're just doing this because we're staring down at our phones and our computer screens all day, so our
yeah.
shoulders are forward, our necks forward. So to kind of combat all that and get your posture better, doing things like that, always a good idea. You can't really do too much of it. Um, and then I would say steps. Steps is a huge thing. Just get more steps. That's an easy thing you can start doing like literally right now if you're like, oh, I want to go on a walk. And then the other thing, yeah, would just be more protein and start tracking what you eat.
Gosh, I mean, it sounds so simple when you say it, but then we get to the
I'm listening. I got to let my dog out. He's whining. Okay. Sorry. I'll let
Okay.
him back in here in a second, but
You're good. I just had one more question on this topic, and then we can
yep.
shift to the next topic. But
You're
as
good.
far as like the hitting your protein goals, is it simply just eating a bigger portion of protein when you eat your meals, or do you have things that you recommend, like people incorporate, like maybe during a snack or in between, to help hit that goal?
Yeah, that's a good question. Either way, so there's a lot of different ways to skin the cat, so to speak. So what we find with the actual research is that I'm sorry, my dog is barking and I'm gonna let him back in. He's
no,
being
you're
really
good.
annoying right now.
You're
I'm so
good.
sorry. On your bed. Okay. Usually my wife is here to kind of handle him while I'm doing this kind of stuff. I sent her away. Okay, so for protein, so what the research shows us is like there's not really like whatever works best for you is probably what's going to be best. So if you get all of your protein in 2 meals, it's going to be pretty tough, for a lot of us guys who are, maybe 180, 200 plus pounds, like getting that much
Mm,
protein in a couple meals is harder. So it's probably going to be a little bit easier to maybe have a snack or two. Um, and in general, I just tell people like, if like you're kind of struggling, just make sure to get, 40 to 50 grams of protein at your main meals. And then each snack, get 20 to 30 grams. And you should be pretty close by the end of the day,
Yeah.
if not right on target for most guys.
Cool. Thank you. I think that's helpful. It's like hard to, like you said, to try to get that much protein in if it's only 2 or 3 meals. So you
And a huge thing, what I tell people to do too, like I tell my clients this all the time and I talk about this, like, don't just like track what you eat what you've already tracked. So I know you said like it's a lot of work how you see your wife tracking MyFitnessPal every day.
Yeah.
All you got to do is pre-track in MyFitnessPal, say it's Sunday, meal prep it, and eat that every single day all week. And you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to think about it. It's no struggle. You already know what you're going to eat. Take that decision away, and you're going to have a way easier time sticking to your goals.
That's fascinating.
that makes
Yeah,
so
it's
much
simple.
sense.
It's simple,
Because then you're like, I don't want to eat
and it works.
this Snickers bar. I'm gonna have to put it in the app. Like that's a pain in the ass.
Right.
Why would I do that?
Yeah. Yep. Pain in the app. I like that.
That's cool. So switching topics, I have a different kind of question for you. So we've talked a lot about like working out and physical health, but I also think something that men carry is this like balance. I guess women carry it too, actually, is this balance between like being a father and what that looks like, and then also carrying or like showing up 100% in your work life. I have a coworker who is pretty young, just had a baby, and he was telling me like, oh, I just had this baby, but like I really want to focus on work. Like I just wasn't ready to have a kid or be a father. And so I was kind of reflecting on that and thinking about like, how do you, coach someone through that? Or like, how do you help someone, I guess, show up as 100% in both places when it feels like I can't, be 100% in both, I guess.
Man, that's tough. That's
Yeah.
tough. I think it's kind of with fitness, like sometimes you have to understand. And I was just training a guy. I did the 6-week challenge. I think I introduced it the last time I talked about it, but
Yeah.
it just finished up. One of the guys in it is a new father, early 20s or mid 20s, I should say. And he was just kind of asking about that, like, hey, it's really hard for me to stick with this, but like he was making some good progress and he was really excited about it. And he was like, is it really ideal? Because I said, if I was to make you a personalized program, what I would probably do is bring you down to like maybe 3 or probably 4 days a week instead of 5, like what's in this challenge. And he was asked, like, is that ideal? And what I said was, like, understand everything has a season. Right now, your main priority is being a dad, being a new dad.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about making crazy progress. Like, it's okay to stay healthy and fit. You'll probably see some progress as you start to introduce these things, and that's great. But understand, like, you're not, going for a Mr. Olympia right
Right.
now. You're not so understand, like, there's these seasons you have to focus on. And in that season, like, not that fitness takes a backseat, but maybe you're not at 100% going towards the goal. Maybe you just pull it back to 80. Um, and I don't know if that's the best answer for work in being a dad, but what I would say in general, it's probably always best to veer on the side of being a dad. I think that is the most important
Yeah.
job in the world. I know work is important; it pays the bills, but at the end of the day, if you die tomorrow, they'll just replace you. Your family is going to be the ones who, obviously remember you. So that's what I would always say. If you're on the side of being a dad, and know that everything has a season and a place.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, and I think I watched like these transformations on TikTok of like these dudes who like when they start to where they end up in the gym. And it seems kind of like what you're talking about is like most of these men start going to the gym because they've hit like a low season. Like they have to make a change in their personal life before they can like invest in themselves and invest in others. So through your coaching, without like going to specifics, of course, but what have you seen that men like? What pressure do men carry silently that comes out? Because once you watch the end of these, like there's always tears and there's always like I didn't know I could do this, or I was carrying this 60-pound weight vest on every single day and now I get to take it off. So what have you seen that like men carry silently throughout your training process?
I would say the biggest thing is doubt. So they don't realize it maybe, but they don't believe in themselves. They don't think that they can do it. So they don't want to put in the effort because they don't want to fail. They're afraid. And so I think fear is the biggest thing. And in men, we're not going to admit I'm afraid to work out because I don't want to fail. No one's going to say that, but I see it all the time. Recently, I've been coaching this guy, and he wouldn't mind me sharing this. He's really awesome. I've been training him in person. I don't train very many people in person, but he had kind of gotten fit before and fallen, pretty out of shape, over 300 pounds, I think 50 when we started in January. Hey, you're back. And then he had this goal to hit 225 on the bench. He's like, before, when I got really fit, I could never hit it. And when we started, he could barely get like 135 on the bar. So we went through this training program, and here in the last 5 months, he hit it the other day.
Dang.
And then I just noticed everything he's saying is changing. Before,
Yeah.
he was like, I don't know if I can ever hit 275, but now he's like, I know I can if I just keep putting in the work. So it's really cool to kind of see the fire relit in him. And that fear is diminishing. He's building this new sense of confidence. And it's really fun to watch. It's really fun to watch that with guys.
So why do you think men tie their value to performance?
I think a lot of that's like biological, right? So,
Mm,
I mean, even from, the beginning of time, it was about being the best at whatever in survival. So that was all tied to performance. If you didn't perform, you died, right? Or you didn't get, that girl and get to have more kids and whatnot. So I think in general, men are always going to be competitive, always will be, always have been.
Well, I'm so glad I could make it back in here and actually have some good
Hey,
connection.
this
and
is
everything now,
Justin.
too. So
He joined the
listen,
podcast.
I've just been an active listener. You guys know me. I don't talk very much in this podcast. I'm more of a listener. I'm probably the most
Oh, we got a
quiet guy on the
caller
panel.
in today, guys.
Yeah, and so I'm in a different location for the second time in the same podcast. Anyway, I'm just trying to see how many places I can move to before you actually notice me. But anyway,
You should have like shaved between.
like shave my head, my eyebrows gone, stuff like that. Like, what is
Yeah, like
happening to
what?
him? I'm like slowly
Just 6
getting
months
assaulted
apart.
throughout the. Yes. Okay. So anyway, as I've been listening to the entire conversation, I do like how on the last podcast we were really focusing on how, like, with you helping people and coaching, and especially like older men who are parents, are kind of moving into new roles, and I think there's just a lot of new things that are happening to guys. We talk about being fulfilled, we talk about competing, but like, do you think in today's world, like, people can chase all this achievement and they feel like they're winning? And it's like, obviously, back in the day, you were fighting for survival. I think now it's so easy to kind of feel like you're accomplishing things. But why do men feel so empty nowadays, even though they feel like they're accomplishing so much in a 24-hour day? Do you think?
I think it's because they're just focusing on the wrong things. And I think, yeah, it's directly correlated to what you said. Like, their sense of achievement is tied to the wrong thing. It's
Mhm.
like the whole, like, you talk to anyone who's, say, bought a Lamborghini. And don't get me wrong, I love Lamborghinis. I want to buy one. Don't get me wrong. But anyone who's like bought one, they're always like, it's awesome for like a week. And then you realize it's just a
Yeah.
car. And I think that's kind of the problem, is we see all of this stuff on social media, and it just makes you, I think in a lot of ways it's positive. It pushes guys in a lot of ways. And so I'm not one who just downs social media all the time, but I think it gives people a false sense of what's important. So you see this stuff and you're like, I want it. I'm going to drive and get it. But then you get it and it's like, that wasn't what I thought it was going to be. When really, probably the thing that's most fulfilling is whatever your purpose is. For me, and I know a lot of guys like me, it's being a dad, being a husband, being a spiritual leader. Those things bring me the most joy than when I, make, several $1,000 sale and it's like, this is awesome. But then it's like, okay, well, then my kid's like, hey, what's for dinner? And it's like, oh yeah, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Let's go hang out.
But that's like such a good feeling too, because like, you feel like you're doing so much to provide, and you're putting so much pressure on yourself. But at the end of the day, like, my oldest, he's like, "Hey, Dad, thanks for getting me mac and cheese," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, you're right. I'm just a normal person, like doing normal things."
Right.
So, like, with that being said, I feel like a lot of people do put that pressure because they have people that are counting on them to be able to provide, to put meals on the table, to be able to put a roof over their head, and to be able to sustain them consistently for their entire lives. So it's like, when you look 20, 30 years down the road, like, what kind of man do you want your kids to see you as being? Like, is it one of those things where you're trying to blend those two things, like business and pleasure? Do you want to be known more for the guy that's like, hey, that's the guy that bought me the slip and slide and we had the best day ever and we didn't do anything, we didn't leave the house? Like, what are the type of things that you want your kids to say about you in 20 or 30 years down the road?
Man, that's a good question.
Thanks.
I've
I've
thought
been here the whole time doing that.
I actually thought about this. Like, I remember, I'll try not to get emotional. When I was battling cancer, and obviously talked about that the last time, and I was in that first week of chemo when I didn't know if I was going to make it, and I was just replaying all these things that I might miss, and thinking about it. And I was like, my boy's 4, my daughter's 2. Did I do all of the things? Like, what legacy did I leave them? Did they just remember me from the guy who worked and wasn't always there? And so I just had this huge like sense of realization that like I need to be there for the important things. And so it kind of gave me a repurpose. Like as soon as I was better and went home, you best believe we were out there hitting T-balls and learning how to swing a
Yeah.
bat and catching baseballs and doing the stereotypical stuff of what a dad should do really. And that's just be there, present, and hang out. And so the biggest thing is I just want them to know that my dad was someone who was there to provide me with security, love, and shelter. So obviously part of that is work but most of all just was present in someone I could always count on. That's what I would want them to say.
And it's so crazy too, like when we think about that, that just being present is probably the number one most important thing. Like you said, it's not how many sales we make, it's not how much we bench press. Like it's just purely being there and being present. And I've seen this thing too that's like, don't take your kids out of what they're doing that they're having fun with. Like if they're playing in the backyard having fun, don't try to pick them up and take them to the amusement park. Like just go play with them in
Hmm.
the backyard. Just be there,
Hmm.
be with them, and be present. So yeah, I think that's ultimately probably what all dads hope for is just to be present and I guess have a job or a lifestyle that allows them to be present.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
100%. Now, this is something that we've been kind of throwing around the coach's office because, granted, my kid's only 3 and maybe he'll be a Major League Baseball player, NFL football player, but, genetics tells me that there's a 99.9% chance that we're not going to do that, but we're going to be a great person. Have you thought, because I don't know, I just keep looking ahead. I'm looking at like the youth sports scene and anything like that. Have you kind of dabbled in that area right now? Have you seen what's been going on? Like, what's your plan for how you're kind of pushing kids to kind or pushing your kids to kind of see what they enjoy sports wise or any kind of other activities or anything like that? Like, have you kind of looked down that road yet? What do you think about the current scene in that avenue?
Yeah, I think team sports are super important, and sports in general are super important. But I'm never gonna make my kids do any sport that they don't want to or anything like that. So I just kind of ask, what do you want to do? And like right now, um, my son, he was just telling me, he wants to do, basketball or football. He played football with some kids the other day, and he's like, "I want to do football." So it's like, all right, we'll find you a team and figure it out. So it's kind of just waiting for them to come to me. But for the longest time, both of my kids were in jujitsu, and then they both did gymnastics for a long time. So they kind of did the solo type sports, but I think are super important too. But yeah, I think team sports are super important. Like I did team sports. I wish I had the same mentality as I do now. So I think I would have got a
Mm.
lot more out of it and been a better leader for my teammates. But I loved high school sports. They taught me a lot.
Yeah, and that's what like me, I kind of want my kids to do things that I never experienced, but are still kind of cool. Like I want my kid to get in jujitsu and do some stuff like that because I was never exposed to that type of thing. But then at one point, do you feel like, man, hopefully I'm not pushing them that way, or like, I want to do basketball. Well, how long are we going to make them stay in there and stuff like that? I just think it's interesting when you want it like how do you found the balance of I want to make an impact. I want my kids to be active, but I don't want to feel like I'm pushing them over the limits to do stuff that they don't feel like they want to do. Like what are some clues you kind of look for to where maybe you're kind of tilting one way or the other?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I think each kid is going to be a little bit different on this, but I would say the biggest thing is like one, if make sure they clearly understand that if they're going to make a commitment to this team, they're going to give it their all, and so that means they're going to fulfill the season. They're going to do, whatever the coach asks, and they're going to be a great teammate. And then if it just doesn't click and they just hate it, I'm not going to force them to continue to do it the following seasons, but we will finish out that season to be there for their team. And I think that, that's one of those things where like maybe they don't like it, but they wanted to do it. So they signed up. Maybe they don't want to go that day. Well, guess what? You made a commitment. So we're going to go. That's where you kind of have to force them a little bit. And that's all right. That's my thoughts on it. But again, yeah, if they don't want to do it, we're not gonna stick around it long term. But if you did make a commitment and you're good at it, you enjoy it. I think a lot of times if kids are good at something, they're probably gonna like it and they're gonna want to stick with it. So, um, I think yeah, but it depends on the kid.
Yeah, and I think that's so important for like right now we live such a instant gratification and like right now, how am I feeling in this moment? And
Mhm.
so when kids, or even like talking about the men struggle that we've been talking about, when you look on social media and be like, okay, I see this guy, I want to look like that, but I don't get results immediately, I'm going to stop because it'll never happen for me.
Mhm.
So like, how do you think that social media has distorted reality, but also like maybe even distorted like, masculinity?
Man, that's another good one. I would say, it's funny. Like that reminded. I remember a couple years ago, someone was like, "Man, you have like really good arms. Like, how do I get arms like that?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's simple. All you got to do is train. About 5, 6 days a week for 12 years and eat right." And
Easy.
so you're right. So it's like people have this like crazy perception, and for me back in the day, it was like looking at the magazines, the fitness magazines, and you're like, oh, Ronnie Coleman, like obviously I can do that. And then, you realize that genetics play a huge role in that too. But
Yeah.
I think with social media, it definitely distorts people. And then they, will start to be like, oh, well, that guy is on steroids. So, and they immediately disqualify themselves. Oh, so what's the point of me even doing it? Because he's on
Um,
steroids. So, um, and I guess I've never had that mentality. Like even when I learned that secret that, "Oh, wait, all these bodybuilders are on steroids, what?" It never distorted me because 'cause I'm like, "Okay, well, I'll just do whatever I can do, and I'm gonna push myself as hard as I can push myself, and maybe I won't look like that, but I'm gonna look the best version of me." And so, I think people need to have more of that thought process versus like, "I wanna look like that guy, I'm gonna start training 7 days a week, and in 3 months, I'll look, like that guy." And it's like, well, that guy has been training for 10 to 15 years and has
mhm.
great genetics and is super disciplined. And you're not there yet. So just give it time, and you'll be there. So it's like walking into a job and be like, well, I want to be the CEO. It's like, well, you probably should start down here before you
Right.
work your
Yeah,
way up.
yeah.
And then, then you can understand what it takes to get to that level once you've been at it for 15 years.
Yeah. Well, and I think everything's just a building block on each other. People see like we live in a highlight reel society. So they see you and they see you going for a run. You look like you do like, oh man, he worked out one time and went on one run and now he's like the most ripped dude I've ever seen on social media. So like I think living in like the real culture and the highlight reels and all that kind of stuff, people just see, okay, this is the culmination of the years of building block or the years of the foundation that I've been building and now I'm just enjoying the fruits of my labor. So what I was trying to ask earlier before I kind of cut out, and this kind of goes into a process, but like if someone's stuck on social media, do you think that makes them secure? Like, do you think that makes them insecure? And where would I start? Like, if I'm seeing you for the first time on social media, and I just want to get started, like day one, I don't want to have any coaching or anything like that. Like, what's a good thought process to have to where okay, I want to take one step to try to get where I want to go and kind of accomplish all my goals.
For fitness or just for social media or for anything?
Yeah, because I think a lot of people get on, like, the influencer culture and everything, and they see all these goals, they see us working towards these things, and then, obviously, I kinda always have it pertain to fitness and everything, so if someone wants to start that journey, like, what is step 1, what does day 1 look like for someone and kind of in those shoes where all they see is, like, the social media success and all that?
So you mean for fitness?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um, so step 1 would be to just start. I think people a lot of times with looking at that stuff or will just get caught in the highlights and get, paralysis by analysis. And, it goes back to actually the one dude who I was talking about earlier, who I've trained in person. He'll ask me like about all this stuff because he gets caught in all these YouTube holes about all these different exercises and this and that. And it's like, bro, like, let's just stick to the basics. Like, you don't have to worry about all that stuff. Like, that stuff's cool. But let's just, squat, bench, and deadlift, and you'll be fine. So it's just starting learning the basics. I think a lot of times too, advice I'd give people with fitness is like treat it like a sport in the sense of like it takes practice also, like practice movements. Don't just go for PRs every single time you're in there. When you go for baseball, you're not just swinging for the fences every single time you go
Right.
to bat. You understand like there's a process in all of it. And so learning every aspect of it, and just learning it, practicing it and being consistent with it, showing up every day. That's what it comes down to really.
Yeah, as simple as just start is, that truly I think is where it starts. I know for probably a good 3 or 4 years, I, knew in my mind that I wanted to start working out, but you mentioned earlier, like, being afraid of of just like trying. And that's definitely where I was at for a long time. And then once I went to the gym, I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, this is a nice place just to kind of disconnect.
Mhm.
Like, you have your alone time and everything. I
Mhm.
think Just Start truly is the place to start. Along the lines of like the social media and the influencers, I'm probably the wrong person to answer this because I'm not on social media, but I think you yourself are a little bit of an influencer, or you may have an insight to other social media influencers. Do you think that influencers like secretly are maybe not miserable, but like sad, or like what they post doesn't reflect how they truly feel? Or do you try to balance and like show how Ben really feels day to day?
No, I definitely think I'll be the first to admit I am insecure, and I do like it's a gratification thing, like anything. Like
Yeah.
if my reels don't do good, I'm like, I suck. I'm like no one likes me. Everyone hates me. I'm the worst.
That's
And
so
my wife
real
will be like,
though.
right. My wife will be like, you have, all these people watch your stuff and, love to, encourage you. And more than that, you have family. Like all my family always shows up. Um, which is most important, right? So that's all that matters. So, I think that that's a huge part of it, but I'll also say this, like, I've worked around of pretty big names in the fitness industry, worked for some, worked close to them, met a lot of them. Some of the fakest people I've ever met are social media influencers. Hard to read. You don't know what they're actually doing or thinking. It's almost like just kind of an empty slate. And you're like, what the heck is this person doing? Or there's always a ulterior motivation as to, what they're doing. And there's also been some that have been really awesome. So, it's just like anything else, any other job or career, you have your colleagues that are awesome and some that are just like space cadets. And you're just like, all right, dude, you do your thing over there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I think a lot of people too. I think if you get it down to the core and the foundation of what they believe in, like if they have faith in everyday life, like what they've been through, like I think the best thing about you is like everything that you had to go through just prepared you to be in this position to where I feel like you don't face the same problems that maybe some of those guys do. Like some of those guys, they get a bunch of followers all at once and it's the first time that's ever happened to them. They've never had to struggle. They've never had to go through anything. I mean, not to say that you would want to get cancer to make you a little bit tougher, but like even your experiences through like what you did when you got out of high school, going to the army and everything like that, I think if you were able to find that foundation before things that get thrown at you, like popularity or people counting on you or something
Mhm.
that you just don't feel comfortable with without something to fall back on, like, can you expand on because I kind of love how you got into that and there was just so many realizations through you're out for 3 days and you wake up. Talk about how kind of your faith has maybe grown and is this something that you rely on in your everyday life a little bit more in the future now?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I think a huge part of that was just like having faith enough to not just be like, I just have faith that that I'm going to be better. It was just having faith that no matter what, this is the right plan and understanding that God has a bigger purpose than me. And even though I want to keep going and do these things this way, that might not be the case. And so just putting faith in God and be like, hey, this is in your hands. I hope everything works out and I pray it does. And, I'll do whatever you need me to do. But if this is, that will be done. You know what I mean? So I think that was a huge part of it. And so kind of having that mentality moving forward, it's made every obstacle so much easier. In fact, I spoke at my church this last Sunday on overcoming obstacles and tying it into faith because I think there's so many things each of us, and I had these huge things that were exterior that were very clearly like, oh, it was dying of cancer. It's pretty big, but all of us have things that we're working on that we don't, people don't even know that I'm struggling with other than, maybe my wife, but these huge burdens and every man has that. I'm sure you guys do. And just having faith that like I'm in the right place. All I need to do is what I'm supposed to be doing and following, the word, the commandments, and understanding that as long as I'm doing those things, I'm fulfilling the plan and that everything's going to work out how it's supposed to. And I think that was the biggest thing with all of the things that I've been through that has kind of taught me, and it's made me way more easygoing too. It's very like my wife will be the first, and she'll be the first to admit that she'll get overwhelmed, and here and there I will, but for the most part, I have a very good sense of just staying calm because I'm like not a lot's going to rattle me at this point. I just having faith in that everything's going to work out.
Yeah, and okay, so, like, I'm putting stuff together as we talk of, like we talked earlier about how, like, men need to hit, like, rock bottom to, like, "Okay, I need to make a life change," and that's where they find the gym. But also, you see that, like a lot of people turn to God when life gets hard too. Like when things are going easy, you don't feel like you need saving, you don't need help. But it's kind of the opposite with the gym. When life is good and you're not, your back doesn't hurt and your knees aren't cracking and popping like your back, they don't feel like they need to go to the gym. So there's kind of a crossover there of like, I want to get your take on like, why do you think people only seek God? Not only, why do you think it's a crutch for people to see God when life gets hard rather than when life is good? I hope I worded that right.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I don't know if it's a crutch though, because I think it's important. It's important to happen because, we
Mhm.
are prideful, we're stubborn. And it's funny you say that because I know even, some social media people or people who are big on social media, all of a sudden they'll, post them getting baptized or, just posting about God more. And my first thought's always like, what happened?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
and that's usually what happens, like, right? So something really hard happened, they went through something, and then they turn to God. And so I think that that in itself is a blessing, right? In anything that's gonna draw us closer to Christ, I think is what's beneficial, even if it seems really hard at the time. My wife and I are watching a show, and there's this guy who's a drug addict and now he's helping other people. And first thing he did, to overcome it was turn to God and he relies on God and preaching to people and helping people because he's like, now this is my plan. I was really bad and now this is how I can be good is to help these other people. You see that a lot with, drug addicts or, people who've, gone through stuff like that. And I think that that's, a blessing in disguise, really.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with, when you do go through something and you start to panic, and obviously when the negative things sit in, it's a lot easier to be like, oh God, like, now's the time where I need some help. But when things come your way that's also positive, I think it's also what you turn around or how you show that you're thankful. So
Mhm.
like in your line of work when you're trying to, and I think just as men too, I know we talk about specifically kind of what we struggle with, but I think there's just a lot of things that we have to have this great balancing act about in your profession, in all of our professions. We're trying to make more money. We're trying to provide more. Like that's all we want to see is we want to be able to turn around and give our family everything that they possibly want, put food on the table, roof over the head, like give them every single dream that they've ever wanted and kind of make it all come true and be a hero to them. But how do you stay grounded while you're trying to chase that? And obviously you're seeing a lot of success, which is awesome. And I think that's amazing for you. And I think you've got the right outlook on how you handle that and kind of where you give your thanks and everything. But how do you stay grounded spiritually when you're being as ambitious as you are? Like you're moving across the country, you're chasing all this stuff, like you are experiencing success. So how do you continue to stay grounded through that process as you continue to skyrocket?
So I think a lot of that comes to discipline. I'd like to think I'm a pretty disciplined person and I don't like when things are out of my routine because I have a pretty solid routine. And so to stay grounded, I stick to that. Even when I don't have to, like as a fitness coach and an online person, I can wake up whenever I want. I can go to bed whenever I want. I could stay up all night. It doesn't matter. But I still like to get up at 4:30 or 5 because I like to read my scriptures first thing in the morning before everyone else is awake. I like to write out my goals for the day and in my checklists of things I need to do and usually do something physical, whether it's a walk or a bike or, a workout. I like to do those things first thing, and that's what keeps me grounded. So even when I'm busy, even in a busy season of life, even when I'm moving, I still do those things. Doesn't matter. When I'm on vacation, I get up before everyone. I read my scriptures. I do those things. I keep those discipline in it might change a little bit, might shift. Maybe it's a little bit shorter today than it is tomorrow when I'm home versus when I'm on vacation. But I think having something to ground you to discipline around what you're trying to work on is what's most important.
Yeah, that discipline, like this past weekend, I was out of town on vacation, and I didn't have like a daily, Bible verse that I read, and I lost my streak. I was on a streak of like 90 days or something, but so that like that consistency, just make sure you do it each and every day is super important. For you, what do you think the difference is between simply believing in God, kind of I'm showing up to church every Sunday, I'm following the motions, and I know the gospel. I say that I believe, versus someone who like actually fully trusts in God and follows like his plan instead of your own plan. How does like I guess how does someone move from simply believing and following the motions to fully trusting the Lord?
A lot of times when that happens, it's like when something hard happens, right? Like kind of like we said.
Yeah.
Um, but how does someone like kind of force that to happen? I guess they would just have to have a realization. They have to have a understanding of why. And it kind of goes back to that earlier question with fitness. What's your why? Why? And if it's strong enough, it'll pull them into having more faith and more believing and understanding. Yeah, that's probably what I would say.
Yeah, and I think so kind of like tying everything together. Like it's not life changes, it's not talking about like in the gym, life changes. I don't think it's like these big moves we're making. It's like little individual choices that you make every day and along the
Mhm.
way. And I think I want to ask you, like, so you wake up and you read scripture and then you write goals for like, what does that look like? Are you writing goals of like, today I'm going to be a good father? Or is it like, today I'm going to do this, 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 and this? Like, what do those goals look like?
Yeah, I mean, I have like bigger goals that are specific around, more like that. But each day it's like, what are the main things I need to get done today?
Hmm.
What workout plans I need to write for who, what, and I usually have a plan for my social media. It's very strategic what I do, surprisingly. I write down what I'm going to post that day.
Nice.
Um and typically I have it planned out. But then yeah, it's like any other, random errands or anything like that. What needs to be done that day? That's kind of what I'm writing down. And then I check it off as I go.
Yeah, that's big because that's something I've had to get better about too, and it's so funny. I kind of want to ask this to you too, but like the older I've gotten, the more I've appreciated writing something down. Like I have a planner, I have something physical that I will write my daily scheduling
It's
down.
literally right here.
And I'm so big on like I'll circle it, and then whenever it's done, I'll just like cross it out. Like I'm on that progressive
Yeah.
commercial, like turned into my parents. Yeah, that's
That's
exactly
what I
that's
need to do.
exactly how I am right there. Because
Yep.
before I was like, let me just put it on my Google Calendar. Let me just
Yep.
remember.
It's
Let me
not the
put it in
same.
my big old awesome dependable brain that I have up here that I played football for 10 years with. Got
Yeah.
like 20 brain cells left
The
anyway. So like
CTE brain.
yeah, for sure. So, like, as you get older, what has started to matter a little bit more, and how have your goals changed on a day to day basis? Like the stuff you write down now versus 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago?
I would say there's a few things like, you have your everyday kind of errand stuff, but the biggest thing is every day, the first thing I have written down is scriptures. So it's always the first checked off thing. Because no matter what, pretty much no matter what, I think in the last like 6 months, kind of since I've really started to do this, I've maybe missed 5 or 6 days. So overall, pretty good. I'll take it. Right. It's an A. It's an A rating, right? Could be better, but I'll take it. So I would say that's a huge one right there. Is just having a little bit more spiritual. Like I've always been spiritual, but just be more deliberate with it and more, incorporating it into my daily life and routine. And then the other thing is just like with any career, like I've been doing online coaching for a long time. It's just having a better understanding of how to do it. So I feel like I'm just more efficient at it and focusing on what's actually important. Same thing with social media. I've been doing social media for, I don't know, 8 or 9 years. And really in the last 6 months, I said, hey, I'm going to, because I took that year break, I said, I'm going to come back to social media, but I'm going to take this very serious and be very strategic. So when you see my reels, they're funny and this and that, but it's like all of that. It's very strategic, and I'm learning patterns and I'm learning what works and I'm reassessing, and so I'm just being more proficient at just how to go viral on social media. It's all a process. So it's really more so that is just refining things versus from 5 years ago, I would kind of just be like, I'm a coach and just kind of wait around for people to come to me and like I don't know what I'm doing. Just I'm good at it, but I don't know how to do all the how to get people to sign up kind of thing.
You're in like Mr. B school now of like just fully studying it and learning it and like
Yeah, yeah.
digesting
I'm
social media.
like not quite on his level, but
Yeah,
close.
yeah. He's
Yeah, he'll
like the
catch you up one day.
professor. Yeah, yeah.
Right. Yeah, he's
You're a
yeah.
student in the school.
Yeah, barely. I'm
So
walking towards the school. I'm about
you're
to
like in
enroll.
admissions. Yeah, you're trying to do it
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
So from the outside, Ben, it seems like you've built like a really solid life. Like you have this faith foundation, you have this coaching business, you have social media, you're becoming more proficient and an expert in that. And you've talked about like identifying purpose. Like what ultimately is Ben's purpose and what life are you trying to, I guess, create for yourself ultimately?
Yeah, I just it kind of goes back to when I was on, what I thought was my deathbed. It's like what is my legacy? Obviously the people around me will remember me, but after they're gone, like, what will I be remembered for? Now it's more so just like, okay, big picture. First and foremost, being a good dad, I think, is the best way to leave a good legacy, because even if people don't remember your name, you're instilling values in them that will then be passed on to their kids and their kids and their kids. So all of that is super, super important in my opinion. But then beyond that, it's like, what other legacy am I leaving for the world? And it doesn't have to be this huge, big thing. In general, it's probably just be a good person, treat others with love and respect, and, be honest with your fellow man. I think all of those things are super important. But me, I'm just like, I just want to help inspire as many people as I can in the world. And I've had so many people, social media is really cool for that. I've had so many people in all over the world reach out to me and tell me, my brother's battling leukemia, saw your video, and, it gave him hope. And geez, I'm gonna get emotional. That is more so just like what legacy I want to leave behind. Letting people know that it's going to be okay and that they can fight through it. Whatever life's throwing at them, understand, one, it's part of the plan and that they can get through it.
Dude, that's awesome. And I just want to tell you, like, every time you come on, you are like a ray of light. And I think you can get that from the screen that we see. But I think so many people, like Justin was bragging on your Instagram before you even got here. Like, you do so much good that, like, later on and like post Earth, you will see the rewards from. So I think you're doing really good for a lot of people. So I just hope that is encouraging for you. But
yeah, I appreciate you saying that.
Before we get out of here, we want to be honoring of your time. I know that it's you and your son and your family is across the country, but we end the episode like the same way every single time. We've talked about heavy stuff, we've talked about serious stuff, but let's see who Ben is a little bit. Okay,
Again.
You've been giving thoughts for an hour straight. We dove into fitness, why I suck at discipline, and then kind of the story of how like the faith intersects into like the fitness industry and how your body is a temple. So we're going to ruin all of that goodness with the rapid fire session that you already have experienced, but now we've got more thoughtful questions because we know you. So First question, one habit every man should build starting today.
Work out.
Crap.
Easy. Next. I was about to say that was kind of the same as the first one. Now, I'm not going to ask anything about cold plunges because that kind of last time you basically took on that he was undisciplined. You told me that was the dumbest thing you possibly do. So speaking of that, my question is, what is one of the biggest wasted time for men in today's world? Is it cold plunges or cold plunges?
No, what's funny is, so now I've actually changed my goal. I don't know if you've seen on my social media, my goal now is I'm getting ready for a marathon. So I'm running a lot of miles. So my body's getting beat up. And now I'm like, man, I wish I had a cold plunge. Now it would make sense.
Yeah.
For me, right?
Good times,
So
bad
I
friends.
know somebody for you.
I've come full circle.
That's awesome.
For an athlete, it makes a lot of sense. For your average person. But
yeah, Justin.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I would say the biggest,
somebody who's hurt.
You asked me the biggest waste of time. Is that it?
For men in today's world.
Anything that's preventing you from being present with your family. So scrolling, doom scrolling, as they call it, I think we're all guilty of that. And then just, I always am like, I ask my wife, I'm like, I'll usually watch a show at the end of the day. And I know it's supposed to be rapid fire, but I'll watch like maybe an hour of TV a day. Maybe. Usually it's not that, but I try to watch shows with my wife. And I'm just like, I don't know how people just like midday or even like after work, it's like just sit down and watch TV during the day. I'm like, even on my days off, I'm like, I can't. I just have too much things to do. I don't. Yeah. Not to shame anyone who does, because I'm jealous of it sometimes. But
yeah, who does?
I think just probably a little bit too much TV time. I think that's men's problem in general for the last 70 years. Whenever the TV was invented.
Yeah.
And then
I will expand. If you have a great wife in your life, she will test your discipline. So like for me, the only time my wife wants to watch something is I got to be up at 4:00 in the morning. Like we're right in the middle of fall camp. Like I need every bit of the 5 hours of sleep that I'm already going to get. And she's like, just watch one episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I'm like, that's the dumb. How did the Kardashians even get there? And then like 2 episodes in, I'm like, oh my God, did she really just say that? So it's like, if you want to get tested on that.
I've watched all of Love Island.
Yeah.
Traitors. I got really into Traitors. Dancing with the Stars.
Hey,
I took my
Traitors
wife
is
to
good.
Dancing with the Stars last.
Yeah.
Traitors is good.
I'm not taking any more fitness advice from you.
I know.
You TV watcher. You.
It's always at the end of the day. Don't worry.
Yeah.
After the work is
I know I look cool and jacked, but I know way too much about Love Island, so I'm sorry. Point you guys.
That's the secret, boys and girls. Don't do curls. Watch Love Island.
yeah. The guys are just so hot. I want to look like them.
Hey, chat, clip that.
it's fitness research. You're just research.
It's just research. Just research.
Speaking of fitness, what is the most overrated fitness advice that you hear besides the cold plunge, besides the obvious?
Obviously. I would say most overrated. Oh man, I'm trying to think. I answered this the other day on a Q&A. What did I say?
Better be consistent.
I know. Shoot, I answered. I think biggest thing would just be like you don't need 2 hours in the gym. So it's like just overrated is just spending too much time in the gym, doing kind of junk volume. Like if you have a core lift, you can knock out a workout in, even 30 or 40 minutes easy.
100%.
And the number of people that are in the gym and just like sitting there, and I'm like, you could have been done an hour ago if you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Maybe like they're power lifters. You never know.
Yeah. I need my
10 minutes
12
between sets.
Yeah,
So,
I need my 12-minute rest so I can get my 2 reps. And it's like, dude, come on, man. Like,
when else am I going to
kids.
watch Love Island, guys? I'm busy.
I got to get home and watch Love Island, dude. I got to hurry this up.
It hits different on the Bowflex. All right, you've already kind of answered this. No, I'm good. It's my turn.
Okay, wait. Are you about to ask about that? Because we did the coffee in the thing last time. That's why I erased that one because he said energy drinks, and then also it's kind of talking about just kind of a precursor. And then we skipped this question because nobody wants Colin to ask it anyway. But when you were talking about the reel you made about are you really going to drink 3 energy drinks today? You're like, don't ever tell me how to live my life. Yeah. I showed them that reel before we got on. It was so funny. Like every time you're doing it, I'm like, it's so true because like that's a side that nobody's going to show. Like all those influencers are not going to show you that they're like, hey boy, like watch what you're putting in your body. And then it's just like, but at the end of the day, if I'm only getting 4 hours sleep because my kids, I'm pounding energy drinks.
I'm sniffing C4.
It's like give me all the additives because I'm struggling right now.
Right. Yep.
Just straight red dye 40.
Colin. Yeah, just give me all of that right there.
All right, I have a really fun one after Justin took that. Morning workouts or night workouts?
Morning.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Easy. That's what I was going to say. Used to, dude, I was all about that like late night workout. And now with kids, I'm like, I got to get up at the crack.
When I was a young man in my 20s, it was always evening or night workouts. But
yeah, you just go pound that pre-workout at 8 p.m. just like a psychopath and go work out.
If it doesn't happen
dude,
before
now I'm
like,
what am
PM,
I doing? Yeah.
Not happening.
Dude, I'm out. Okay. So back to me. One thing social media, I'm back, baby. I got good connection this time, so you guys can totally hear me and not laugh at how robotic I am. What's one thing that social media gets wrong about masculinity?
Man, I think like in general, like masculinity, social media is just an amplified version of like the stereotype of what masculinity is, right? So I would say something that is considered masculine would be, sleeping around with a lot of girls, pulling a lot of girls, and your why being like material things in girls, and it's like you're missing the point. Like you're missing the point. So I think that would probably be my answer.
What is one thing that men need more of?
I think a strong, I would say a strong leader, a masculine figure to direct them in the right direction.
Oh, that's good.
In what I mean by that is someone who's going to teach them how to be grounded, like, and not just allow social media to dictate to them what masculinity means, but have someone show them. So having a good father is very important. And for someone who doesn't, I'm sorry, but hopefully you have a good leader, a good coach, a good, teacher, someone who's in your life who can show you how to be a good person and how to be, a soft and gentle and stern leader. I think, that would probably be something for him.
Hopefully you have a Ben in your life.
I don't know about that.
Get you a Ben and some Love Island in your life.
All right, and I've got one final question before we send you back to the fitness world that I will not be seeing you in. So we wrap up with the same question every time, and I think we asked you last time, and it's just kind of fun to see where answers change, where they stay the same, and all that stuff. So who are you following, reading, or listening to right now that's encouraging your walk with God?
Last time I think I said the apostles.
The New Testament.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
New Testament, which I'm still in.
Great answer.
So it's probably mostly that, but I would say, man, just at church, we have at my church we have some good leaders there who always, kind of just direct me in the right way, and are good examples. I think that's what's most important than what they say is just the example that they set.
Yeah. Especially like trying to find someone who can allow you, kind of teach you how to make disciples out of yourself and all that kind of stuff, and just challenge you to grow more as a person, physically, spiritually, emotionally. I think that's just so hard. I think, like you said, I think the main thing is if we can find that connection from men to other men, especially in that spiritual realm, I think it just makes it so much easier in other places. And like once again, man, I think that's why you're so effective at what you do, is because you have an amazing story, you have an amazing reach. Like you've affected a lot of people in such a good way. Like, I think people are just naturally drawn to you because I don't think that, or I think that they can feel that you don't necessarily depend on that attention. You don't depend on the fame. You don't depend on the money. Like, you are literally just trying to change lives because, you got a second chance at life yourself and everything. And I think you're grounded in the right ways. And thanks, man. Like, I always know it's a first class experience coming on our podcast with all the internet connections and everything. I'm sorry that it was just such a slap fest at the beginning. Like, I'm sorry, changing, locations 18,000 times and everything. But man, as always, like, I know people always make it to the end of these conversations and everything, especially when we have people like you on. Like, we are so lucky through this to be able to meet people like you. And I mean, this is like, I love sharing stories like this. Like, I never thought this podcast would take us to a place like this where we meet people like you, and it just to have the impact that you have on us, man. Like, we really appreciate that. Like, that's the whole reason why we wanted to do this. I mean, it started out, we want to talk about how we didn't go to the moon, which we didn't, but now it's just involved allegedly. We've just evolved into this machine of just bringing people on that affect so many people in so many different realms and everything too. So thanks, man. Thanks for allowing us to be a part of your journey, and allowing us to hear your story one more time. So hopefully we changed it up a little bit for you from the first time and everything. We tried to just try to build a little bit more perspective into your life and kind of what's changed and everything. And man, we're really proud of you. I know you're in the middle of some battles and moving and everything like that. I think we all are, but hopefully you can always count on us for anything that you need, man. We really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Anytime, man. We always appreciate it. So don't be afraid to message Colin, keep him on track. Make sure he's not watching TV in the middle of the day, because he is on summer break now. So that's probably going to be a big time.
June
problem.
1st, I'm hitting the gym. And next time you come on, Ben, you're going to be like, dang, dude. This dude
like,
that
dude,
me.
that dude must be on Love Island.
That
dude must
he
have
gave
been
up
on
the
Love
Pokemon
Island.
cards. Yeah.
That's our outro song. Ladies and gentlemen, dude, I'm sorry, guys.
Dude.
Like, I saw y'all laughing at me because I got the little spinny thing, and it's like halfway through, and I'm already stumbling through my question because I'm like, I'm pretty sure my connection sucks because I see
I was
myself
trying to mute you, but you were so far behind, I couldn't mute you. So every time he was talking, it was just like,
well, and I hate that because I would ask my question and I'm done. I'm like a news reporter. I'm done talking for like 10 seconds and I'm just staring at y'all like, oh my God, answer. Like, have my words really not come through yet? Oh, man, dude, I'm sorry, guys.
Well, if y'all made it this far,
listen, come on, tell us.
The very beginning, probably the first 10 minutes is going to be pretty
cut.
rough.
Yeah.
Cut.
Or she's going to get cut.
Let's shorten this mug. Yeah. And if you're still here, you missed out on all the trauma that could have been heard, but now I only have to hear it and you don't. So I'm glad you stuck this far. Hit up Ben on Instagram. He'll change your life in a lot of different ways. Thank you for listening. We're out of here.
Until next time. I'll have better internet next time.
No, he lives there now. Bye.